how business owners can become contract savvy. In tonight's episode, our special guest, expert technology lawyer and legal tech influencer, Flo Nicolas, will be sharing her insights to help you as a business owner save money while also protecting yourself. You will know the basics of your business contracts to become more self-reliant and decrease those legal costs. Absolutely, which will help to increase those profits as well. So before we go into the meat and the hearts of it and also introduce people to this show, Flo, what got you into legal and tech and really just focusing on spreading this message as an influencer?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I've practiced, I've done bankruptcy, I've done real estate and just other contract negotiations as a lawyer. So after I practiced for a while, I actually went on the business side of the house for a big telecommunications company. I was part of the corporate technology operations department, where I was managing like multi-million dollar projects and overseeing vendors, outside counsel, working with the contract management teams, also working with the legal teams as well. So during that time, I, had to negotiate and draft contracts with my team, license agreements. And it was tedious work and it was manual labor that was just exhausting. And I always felt like, oh my God, there's got to be better ways. There's got to be better, more efficient ways of getting this stuff done. And also collaborated with the legal team to make sure, as well as the sales team, to make sure things were, drafted, negotiated, and signed quickly, right? Because you want things to move quickly and not slow down. So after I left that role, I knew I needed to be in tech. I love technology, and having, come from a big telecom company, for me, that was my next step. I was like, ooh, I want to go to like Microsoft or Google or Amazon. And during this process, I started seeing other lawyers that were talking about legal technology. And so I'm like, what is this legal tech? And I'm just seeing people talking about contract technology, contract management. And I'm like, oh my God, listen, this is perfect, right? Because I come from an industry where we were doing things like manually and it was painful. So knowing that there was actually technology out there that I could have been using, first of all, I was pissed, right? Because I'm like, you told me I just reviewed manually over 300 agreements when I could have just pulled a report using like a contracts tech tool, like seriously. So that's what got me really like, I have to learn more about legal technology and contract technology, learn more about it so I can educate others about it. So I just really started talking to CEOs of legal tech companies. I would have one-on-ones with them and they would show me how the product worked. And I just fell in love. And that from there, that's why I'm here, preaching the gospel of being contracts savvy while using technology to help you get things done and save money. So, did I lose you?
Hello, are you there? Are you there? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Speaking about technology, this is what happens, right? Sometimes you have that glitch.
Yes, indeed. And before we get into more of all the brilliant knowledge you're about to share with us here this evening, I know I went right into it. But essentially, before we get into all that, I know some of you are likely new to our show this evening. Welcome. You're listening to Entrepreneurship is a Marathon. Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, I come here live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as well as eventually on our podcast with myself and or with special guests. And this evening, we have a very special, brilliant guest with us here today. If you haven't already heard Flo already, this legal tech influencer. My name is Vanessa Dami. I'm the business defibrillator. And the reason why my clients call me that, because I help bring life back to them and their business. Specifically, I consult micro businesses on how to grow their purpose-driven business without burnout, sleep deprivation, or overwhelm. Yes, helping them to revive, grow, and scale. And as always, in every episode, I always ask, what has been your win of the week? So what has been your win of the week? It could be, obviously this is Tuesday night, or whenever you're watching it. Maybe you're listening on a Sunday night. You're like, my week hasn't even started, Vanessa. So with that being said, think about the last 7 days. What has been your win of the last 7 days? And share with us below in the comments. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll scroll down, hit the subscribe button, and then scroll down some more and type in the comments. If you're watching on Facebook, or if you're watching us live on LinkedIn, it'll be to your right. But also react at the bottom. If you're watching on Facebook, also react at the bottom, but then also type in your comments. But what has been your win of the week? And I'll start with Flo. What has been your win of the week, our special guest?
My win of the week is I'm going to be hopping on a plane to go to London on Thursday. Because just you mentioned something that is so important. It is trying to avoid the burnout. So taking a nice vacation. Yeah.
Hello. There's that technical.
Yeah.
So with that being said, love it. Yeah. So obviously, it's definitely make sure that you were taking care of yourself. And she's going on this trip with her lovely hubby internationally, right? And it's awesome. Love it. Fantastic. And in terms of my win of the week, the past 7 days. So I did an in-person presentation last week. So that was my win of the week because I was doing in-person stuff pre-pandemic. 27 months later, finally getting back to in person. So essentially, I did that last week, and that was great. I was like, yeah, I still got it. So people were loving it, and generally, I just love teaching and speaking. So it was just great. And definitely just being back in person. This as a speaker is a whole nother rush of just emotions.
Yeah.
So it's great. So I love it. So what has been your win of the week for those who are listening or viewing, whether you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. And I want you to put in the comments, what has been your win of the week? With that being said, we've had a few technical difficulties to get you to think about that. So hopefully you've already thought about it. And I've typed in your win of the week. With that being said, I'm going to share more. Well, our special guest, Flo, already shared in the beginning, part of how her journey to really spreading her message and her passion around legal tech. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of how do you save on legal costs? What is actually most important for you to be contract savvy as a business owner? But who is our special guest? Flo Nicolas. So Flo Nicolas is a technology lawyer, a founder and CEO of Cheap, a mobile app creator and consultant. She's a flourishing social media influencer featured on Above the Law, a legal news website. She's well known on social media as a non-boring lawyer. Flo is also a legal writer and international speaker. She's a director, a producer, a creator, and host of a local TV show called Get Tech Smart. Yes, she lives, breathes, and just all things, eats tech, right? She's a dedicated professional with a passion for technology and creative innovation, intent on helping her community to become more tech savvy and forward thinking. Flo is a technology ambassador and legal technologist who has a passion for tech and is committed to helping businesses and organizations leverage cutting edge technology to increase productivity and generate revenue with their legal services and back end. So yes, we are extremely honored to have her here with us here this evening. Yes. So Flo, what would you say? Like, this is like contracts. What are the contracts here? Like, what would you say are sort of like the key contracts that businesses should even be thinking about here? Like during our discussion, like contract savvy. Would you say is like the key contracts that come up for you, or when you're working with clients?
Yeah, and first, just a disclaimer, I just want to make it very clear that this is not legal advice. Should you need any legal advice, please consult with a lawyer. And just a quick shout out to Angela in the comments there. I saw she enrolled 2 clients without being pushy on the sell. So that's great. Good job, Angela. So, one of the biggest things before we even get down to the nitty gritty of contracts is normally what I notice. People have this thing of, I'm just going to hire a lawyer. You ask a question, I don't know, my lawyer handles it. Okay, do you know what was in that contract or the document? My lawyer reviewed it and then I signed. And that's great. That's great to rely on the expert. But what I also encourage businesses, whether you are one person or you got like 50 people in your company, is that you need to know what you're signing, right? It's not enough to just say, oh, the legal department is taking care of it. My lawyer is handling it. No, you need to be present and involved, right? Because at the end of the day, for your lawyer to even draft and craft that agreement for you, they're going to be asking you questions. So you've got to think about things that are important to you. So for me, I'm a small business owner, right? I'm a tech startup. And right now I'm dealing with technology agreements, because I'm in the process of finalizing my mobile app. So a lot of the contracts that I'm dealing with right now are vendor service agreement, which is pretty much I'm hiring someone and asking them to do a service for me. And that service is, creating my app. So before I even went this route or of creating this app, I'm going to be fully honest. I had no clue about mobile applications, how to build one. But what I did is I took the time to do my research and figure out, well, if someone is going to give me a contract, and granted, I understand, for me, it's a little different because I'm a lawyer, right? So I'll know where to go to do the research, right? Because you're probably saying, but wait a minute, you're a lawyer, so you know what to look out for. Uh, but what I'm saying is, you don't need a law degree to understand the things that are important to you, the things that you want in your business contract.
Say
Uh,
that again. You
yeah,
don't need a law degree to know what's important to you.
right. Because remember, it's your business, right? It's your business. So let's say you're the one who's the vendor, right? You're the one who's providing a service, right? So you've got to stop and say, okay, what do I want to make sure my lawyer has, right? So if you're providing a service, if you have to deliver, let's say it's like, so somebody's ordering and you've got to deliver, how is that delivery being done? you know how is it easy for you for delivery? What's the method that works for your business, right? And how long does it take? Is 7 days okay? Is 14 days okay? So those are the basic things that I'm saying that you should know and be able to communicate if you're going that route where you're going to hire a lawyer to prepare your contracts for you. There are some people who don't hire lawyers and they prepare their own contracts. Which, what, there are some people who are savvy, they can get it done. But again, you also have to take steps to make sure that you're just being cautious, that you're protecting your business and not opening yourself up to risks that could potentially cost you money. Right. So again, the first things is knowing and understanding what are the major points that are important to me. So again, if you're doing delivery, you want to know how you can deliver. What constitute as acceptance, meaning the customer acknowledging and accepting delivery of the product. That's another key thing that you want to make sure you understand. Again, I'm not asking people to be like litigators, meaning you're going to go to court and you're going to become your own lawyer and defend yourself, right? This is just knowing the contract basic. So even if you hire a lawyer, you want to understand what you've signed and what you have committed your business to. So if you're committing to things and you're signing on that contract, you're acknowledging that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I will do it. I'm going to deliver, right? So it's those basics that are so important. The other thing that happens is, what if you can't deliver, right? Customers get upset when you can't deliver. Are you putting yourself at risk by failing to deliver? What is in that contract? What is it saying? Hey, when I can't deliver the product, here's what happens. You know, are you okay with that? Here's what happens, right? Oh, I'm going to give the customer the money back, or the customer can cancel this order. Or, you know what? The customer needs to give me time to be able to deliver, right? So there's those basics where you've got to protect yourself, where you're not having customers coming after you for failing to deliver. Again, contracts are designed, for me, when I'm creating my contracts, I want it to be a happy medium for me and the other party, right? It's a win-win situation for both parties. For me, those are the best contracts, right? I don't design my contracts in a way where I'm going to punish someone for not delivering, right? Because here's the thing: if you have bad contracts, um, more than likely you're not going to have repeat customers, right? Customers are going to say, "Oh no, those contracts." And boy, here's the other thing: customers won't even sign them, right? Customers will not sign bad contracts. That's the other thing that you've got to think of. Um, the other thing that also always encourages: keep the contract simple. If you're, well, funny
Keep
story.
it
So my
simple. I love it. Okay, so my motto is always like keep it simple, keep it moving. I'm also on people
right,
in master class. Same thing with legal folks. Look at that. Keep it simple. Okay, continue.
yeah. Keep it moving. Yeah. So a real quick story. My father owns a roofing company. He's a small business owner. He hired a lawyer to put together a service agreement for him. And he said when he got it, it was like 13 or 15 pages. And he looked at it and he couldn't understand half the stuff that was on there. Number one. And number two, it was just too long. He's like, listen, I just need something simple, that says A, B, C, D. I didn't need it to go from A to like all the way to Z, just like what you just said right now is you got to keep it simple. If you're reading your own contract and you can't understand it, do you think your customers are going to be able to understand it too? Right. So that's the test that you should really use is, do I understand this? You know, do I understand this? And you want to encourage, as lawyers, where there is this big push right now, and there's this big movement to, try to keep it simple and try not to use like, too much legalese language that's difficult to comprehend. And trust me, I've had so many contract disputes because I was interpreting the contract one way, but the other side wasn't interpreting the contract the other way, and you literally lose sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years arguing back and forth over terms of a contract. And when you do that, when you're arguing back and forth, are you making money? No, you're not making money. You're not. You're losing money, right? So that's why you definitely want to keep it simple. So it really, for me, when I was on the business side of the house, I really enjoyed working with the legal team. I really enjoyed asking questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if you're hiring an attorney. They're working for you on your behalf. So don't be afraid to say, I don't understand. What does this mean? Can you simplify this for me? This is not a thing of, well, I don't want to look dumb. No, you don't want to sign something that you don't understand, right? Because remember, once you sign, you can't turn around and just say, oh, I didn't know, I didn't understand. You signed it, you know. So don't be afraid to ask questions. The other question that I encourage is to ask, do I have a way out? If I sign this contract and things go south, what's my way out, right? That's the termination rights, right? What are my termination rights? And do is there anything that I have to pay? Is there well, if X is completed, then why happens, right? There's sometimes, here's what happens, right? You're in the middle of a contract. Let's say you're providing a service to your customer, and you can't continue, you can't move forward, whether it's a supply issue. Let's say you've got to get supplies from somewhere else. You're halfway through the process, but you need one more piece to make this complete. But you can't make it complete. Then what? Then what happens? Those are the things that those minute details are things that you've got to really pay attention to. Is, if I can't complete and honor this contract, what is going to be my obligations, especially financially. So definitely take a look at that. And you mentioned some templates.
Yeah, so I know that we are, yeah. So essentially, it's like you went through all these parts of the contracts, right? But I know that there are all these, and you probably know about them, right? All these sites and things are just like, just grab this template, you'll be
Yeah.
fine, right? We actually have another legal lawyer person coming in the next couple of weeks who actually does templates too, so it should be an interesting discussion to start off with. But what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on these on the templates and the contract templates world? I mean, technically, it does save on legal costs, right? Which
Yeah.
but essentially, what are your thoughts around that? I guess.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sites that will, like Legal Zoom, for example. Legal
Or Rocket
Zoom,
Lawyer. Mm-hmm.
yes, Rocket Lawyer is another one. They have templates available where you could. It's some of this stuff these days is becoming so automated. Right. That's the beauty of technology. It'll literally ask you questions, right? They have some of these package deals where it's like, well, you can have like a tutorial that teaches you how to complete the form, and it's going to be $50. Or for like $500, you can have the lawyer complete the form for you. Or for another $1,000, you can have the lawyer complete the form and then file the form. Let's say, for example, if you need something filed, right? So there are all these type of billing models that are available, and it's really gonna be up to the person, right? Because there's some, and the other thing I have to caution is this: you've got to take a look at those templates, because not every template has the language that you need for your state. So be cautious that there's not language in those templates that's referring to California, and you're here in Massachusetts and are not doing business in California, right? So you want to make sure that those templates fit where you reside, right? I'm not gonna be able to take a template that is also from out of the country and try to use that. So it's just something so small like that, that you're like, well, duh. But you'll be surprised that some people will just download and just use whatever. And some of those templates have, actual state law that has nothing to do with your state.
Yeah, it's like
So
if you're in New Jersey, then XYZ ABC, or if you're in
right.
Wisconsin,
Yeah,
XYZ ABC. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right. But I love templates. I love finding templates and I love using templates. But there's this one site called lioninsider.com. And I like their site because you can filter by your state. So if I'm looking for a specific template, let's say I'm looking for a vendor service agreement, then I can filter it by my state and say New Hampshire vendor service agreements. So that way I know when it pulls down those contracts, templates, there are for my state. Um,
Can you
I
spell it
think
again? What you said? Lion
law,
cider.
no, lawinsider.com.
Law Insider. Gotcha. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, there's some of these sites that are a great investment for, especially for people who are like, I know the basics already. I think I can do my own contracts. Again, I always advise that if you're not strong with contracts and don't know the laws, then you definitely still want to consult with an attorney. There's some attorneys that will review, they can be per diem, right? You can put together a template if you choose, and you can have, the attorney review it. Or like we were just talking about, like Rocket Lawyer and what's the other one I just mentioned? Legal
Legal Zoom.
Zoom.
Yep.
They, you know, there's so many other websites that are now available where it'll ask you questions. They're created by lawyers, and it'll ask you the right questions, and then it'll auto populate forms for you. There's one that I used. I don't know why I can't think of the name right now, but I needed templates, not templates, but I needed privacy forms. I needed privacy forms. I need cookie consent forms and terms of conditions. So for people who have websites, and people who are, collecting customer information on the websites. Those are things that you want to make sure that you have. And there are now sites that actually auto-populate these privacy laws for you. So the one I used, it asked me, all the questions about what customer information am I collecting. It asked me where am I doing business? Is it just online? Is it do I have a mobile app? And then it also asked me for my state, where is the business located? Once I answered all the questions, it populated my privacy forms for me. And then it provides links that I have on my website that will go on my mobile app. And the good thing about this is I'm not very knowledgeable with like the privacy laws, right? I know the basics, but keeping up to date with like the privacy laws are constantly changing. So, and the other thing is there is no like uniform privacy laws across the state, right? Some states have their own laws, some states don't have a law. So it's still an ongoing process when it comes to privacy laws. The beauty about this website, which I don't know why I can't remember the name, I'm gonna Google it and provide it, is
And I'll put it in the YouTube description, and then also I'll include it in the Facebook and LinkedIn comments once you figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I like this site, and I'm talking and trying to look up the site at the same time, the reason why I like this site is that they automatically keep up to date with the privacy laws for me. So if there is a change in the privacy laws, they update. They will send me a notification, and they will update my privacy form. Once I get the update, I can then notify my users, people who are going to be using my app or people who are going to be going on my website. So that's one way where, I mean, it was, first of all, I'm super frugal. So using that service for every policy that I got, it was like, I think like $26. And all the updates to these policies will be done. It's all included in what I've already paid. So I'm just gonna try to look it
I
up
love
real
it. I will love that
quick.
scene as well too. Making sure I'm up to date as well. So I love it. And we have a few more minutes left to our episode. But as you see, Flo probably has way much more to share with us. So definitely continue to follow her, connect with her on LinkedIn. I'll put that on the. Actually, I'll put that. Yeah. So it should be, if you are watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, you should see a comment with Flo's LinkedIn profile. It's literally
Yeah.
linkedin.com/non-boring lawyer. Okay.
That's super
So
easy.
yes, hit up Flo Nicolas Esquire on LinkedIn. And while she's doing it. So lots of
All right,
information to share.
found it. So
You
it's
found it.
called,
Great.
is this the right one? So hold on, I gotta go to I think it's called Terms Feed. I'm gonna make sure that that's the
Okay.
right one.
But yes, but also, so tonight, though, for those to recap, so we went through how business owners can become contract savvy. So first going into, okay, if you are, first of all, you might be like, oh, I'm gonna get a lawyer, right? But definitely Flo took us through, do you even need a lawyer? And then how do you ensure that even if you get a lawyer, you're having informed discussion so that you're not,
Yeah.
lost in the contract or,
In the
not
contract,
getting
right.
what you need, right? And try to ensure you get what you need and what it is that you need as a business as well, too. And the thing about it is that, everyone has a legal back end. So whether you're a product-based business or a service-based business, ensuring that you have your contracts up to date to save yourself on future legal costs.
Right.
But also we talked about some resources to save you on current future costs. And what's that last resource you mentioned? The privacy one?
So the privacy one is called Terms Feed,
Okay.
terms and then feed. And they generate like various policies for you, from terms of conditions. Let's say you want a return and refund policy. They can generate that. Again, they'll ask you a series of questions, and they automate the forms for you, and you will get a link that you can publish on your website. So yeah, there's terms of service, terms of use. Again, this is a website that was created by lawyers, and the pricing, it is super affordable to use. It's one-time payment. There's no recurring fees. So as I mentioned, I probably spent about 90 something dollars for 3 forms. I know it was
Wow.
less than $100 because I'm super cheap.
Love it, love it, love it. And she's, yep.
Yeah,
Continue.
the other thing I want to add is also too is you can hire a lawyer to create templates for you, right?
Mhm.
You can say, here are templates that I want for my business. Because you don't have to have this recurring going back and forth to your lawyer. You can work with your lawyer to create a library of templates that you use. And once you have those available, you can actually create what we call a legal playbook. And what a legal playbook is that sometimes, when I get contracts from vendors, there's things that are in their contracts. If they're not using my template and they send me theirs, there are things that I'm like, no, that doesn't align with my business model. I don't want to accept that. So your lawyer can help you create like a legal playbook of alternative language that you can use. So when someone counters, even if you're using your own template and someone counters your template, you can look at what they send back and say, oh, okay, this isn't bad, right? I can accept this, because you can have that legal playbook. Or you can say, well, I'm not going to accept this, but here's alternative language that we can use. How do you like this better? Right? And there are contract technology out there that you can use. Like, one that I like is called Brief Catch. The reason why I like Brief Catch, it is so easy to use. You don't have to be a super genius to use it at all. And what it does is it will literally, if let's say your own contract, let's say you get a contract, or maybe you put something together and you think it's fantastic, you can upload it into Brief Catch, and Brief Catch will actually grade your contract. It will compare your contracts to other contracts written by other lawyers, and it will grade you. So if you get like an F, then you know your contract sucks. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't just give you a grade of an F. It tells you what you can use to improve. It actually provides the alternative, better options of terms and words to use to improve your contract. I literally got a contract from a service vendor that got a grade of a 40. And I redlined that contract using, I was using a free trial of Brief Catch, right? Because, I told you I'm cheap. So I used the free trial because I actually wanted to try out the service. I wanted to try out first before I make a commitment. Holy moly, I redlined their contract and I sent it back to them and said, listen, I didn't like your contract, but here's the red lines, right? Because the tool made the suggestions for me and I accepted it. And by the time it went from a 40 to 100. So it's simple tools like that non-lawyers can definitely use. Um, and there's other companies too, like one of my friends, he's part of the Eversort team, where they have contract management tools. His mother is actually a doctor, and the doctors use the contract management tool to keep up to date with when their license renewals. When their license need to be renewed, the contract management tool sends them notifications to say it's time to renew your license. So that's one key example right there of people who are not lawyers, but who are doctors, who are trying to make sure they stay compliant uh, with their certifications. So if they can do it, so can any other small business owner. That needs to stay compliant to any other licenses or certifications. So the tech is out there. You just really have to take the time to do the research to not only become business savvy, but contract savvy. Again, those are your contracts, so you need to know what's in them before you sign them.
Absolutely, because when it comes time for the court, you will be the one in court. So
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Did you read this contract, ma'am? Do I have to answer that question, sir? You don't want that, right?
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. And yes, as Flo mentioned, there's so much more tech. We couldn't get into all of it today, but for those who are watching, I'm going to include a list of these resources that Flo has mentioned on the YouTube description. There have been the resources were also linked on the Facebook and LinkedIn. So just to recap some of this, make sure I have this all here. So we have Terms Feed, which is a great resource for auto updating your privacy policy as laws change. We have Law Insider, which Flo recommended for checking your contracts for all those different state variety laws, so to speak. And then we have briefcatch.com, which is rating and scoring your contracts to make improvements and giving you suggestions, kind of like a lawyer, just redlining it for you. And there's so much more out there. So love it, fantastic. Any key final words you would like to share, Flo, with our audience?
I mean, at the end of the day, here's the thing. I'm a small business owner, right? And I get it. What you want to do is you want to limit your risk, right? We're entrepreneurs because we want to make money, right? And a lot of organizations, even billion-dollar companies, lose money by bad contracts, right? So as small business owners, like the bigger companies, those billion-dollar companies, they have the lawyers and the legal team to pretty much run, in and out of court for them if they have bad contracts. But as a small business owner, you don't want that. You don't want bad contracts to be the reason why your business closes, and that's why you can't say I don't know and I didn't know. You are going to invest in a lawyer. You need to take the time to understand your contracts, know what's in them, and know how to negotiate. And if you need further assistance from your lawyer, then you can call on your lawyer. But you are responsible. Those are your contracts. It's your signature. So if you're going to be responsible, then why not take the time to understand what's in there? Don't be afraid to ask those questions. I like when people ask me questions, and I love asking questions because I want to know. I want to know what's going on. It's my business. And I don't want to be liable for something that I don't know about.
Exactly. Love it. Love it. Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful words of wisdom. And Flo always shares even more words of wisdom on her LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
So make sure you check out Flo Nicolas Esquire. She is your legal tech influencer, legal tech expert here on our show. Entrepreneurship is a marathon. So happy to have had you here this evening, Flo. And for those who are watching, chat with you next week on another episode of Entrepreneurship is a Marathon. Chat soon, everyone.
Bye, everyone.